Welcome to TimSold Talks. Join us as we dive into all things real estate, talk about business, food, cars, and much more with industry experts. Dream it, believe it, achieve it. Welcome back to another episode of TimSold Talks. I'm joined by Chef John Francis, good friend and owner of Tanuki restaurant just around the corner from us. And in keeping with tradition, before we kick off the show, we always have a drink or a food to showcase. And today it's from John's very own restaurant from Tanuki down the street there. Tell us, John, what do we got today?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me. So I brought these house-made taro chips that we sell at a restaurant. They're very popular.
Nice.
And then I brought some brulees here. I got the Thai tea brulee and the ube brulee for you guys to try out.
Ooh, I'm excited. What do we got to do?
So first step would be to put the sugar on. And I'll brulee it for you guys.
Okay. I'm excited. First live cooking experience on the TimSold podcast today. For people that don't know brulee, I actually know it's just like a thin sugar crust on top of a pudding, or what's
There's kind of a little bit of a technique to it. So just try to coat the bottom with some sugar, and then put a little bit extra.
Yeah.
And then you got your
fire it up
here.
Yeah. Ooh. First flamethrower on the TimSold podcast.
So you go a little bit hard in the beginning.
Yeah.
Try to get the sugar to
start
to turn.
To turn? Okay.
And you better roll it around. This is where the technique comes in.
Yeah. Oh, I see. So you kind of like keep it moving. Wow.
Try not to burn yourself.
You've never done that before, right?
Once.
Once. Ooh, look at that. So that's one. Thank you. Just turn this into a TimSold cooking show here. For the guys who can't see at home, we have an ube and Thai milk tea, you said, right? It's a pudding based, or what is that?
Yeah, so it's a traditional custard, which is egg yolks and cream.
Egg yolks and cream, yeah. So you kind of modified it for Markham. Ooh, sizzle, sizzle. All right. Oh, I'm super excited for this. Which one should I try first? What do you recommend?
Oh, I think the Thai tea is delicious.
The Thai tea? So this one on here?
Yeah.
All right. Let me. Ooh, it's still a little warm.
You just take the spoon and then you just crack the top.
Just crack the top like a. Oh, it's a thick crust. It's kind of like cracking ice. Cheers. Really crunchy, and the pudding's really soft.
Yeah,
It's
you
really
try
smooth.
to keep the custard super light, not too heavy. A nice thin layer of sugar. You don't want it to be like, you're
rough.
cracking into like a hard candy.
Not
or
like Jello or something, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Wow, that's really good flavor. So how did you guys come up with this recipe with the Thai iced tea?
So it's just like a standard creme brulee, and then we actually steep the Thai tea in the cream so it infuses into the cream, and then use that as a base.
Wow. I love that. The creme brulee, the sugar on top, like it's a nice sweet flavor, but then you got the Thai iced tea flavor in the back, so it's like a milk tea.
Yeah.
Or Thai milk tea. Can I try the ube one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Here you guys go. Let's try this one too. Ooh, it's like purple inside. That's kind of funky. Look at that. Also nice and creamy as well. Wow, you can really taste the ube flavor. So it's kind of like how did you guys make the ube? Is it flavor? Is it powder?
Oh yeah,
Like, how did you guys...
we have an ube extract that we buy.
And what do we have here with the? You said the taro chips?
So yeah, these are house-made taro chips. Just also fresh, natural. We buy the whole taro, cut it, slice it ourselves.
Can I open one and try?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's try these.
And then those are seasoned with our own spice mix. So it's a Japanese togarashi chili and aonori, sesame seeds.
Yeah. What's the aonori?
Aonori is a dry Japanese seaweed.
Oh, I see. Very crunchy. Very flavorful.
Nice and light.
Yeah, nice and light. You can see the seasoning sauce, so it's a mixture of, like you said, the aonori, the What's that red kind of like? Is it like chili or
That's the togarashi there.
togarashi?
Yeah, it's a dried chili. Yeah, so we actually started this during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Because we weren't allowed to have any indoor guests and stuff like that. So we started to make these kind of products, which we could sell at the bakery. So our restaurant is located in J-Town. It's a Japanese shopping plaza. And there's a bunch of different businesses, and you can walk around in the courtyard. And, there's a mochi store, there's a fish store, meat store, bakery, and you can kind of walk around and peruse and
It's a nice little Japanese corner there, and it's just down the street from our office actually, at Woodbine and Steeles kind of area. Yeah, and that's the part of our show really is to showcase kind of small business owners in the local community around us, and obviously showcase the brilliance that we have here, and but hearing what your very fascinating story of how you guys got into is it you and your partner that are in the business together, and you tell us about that. How did that all start? How long you been a chef? How long it started? What kickstarted you guys to start during the pandemic?
It's kind of a funny story, but when I was in high school, I got into cooking, and one of the first jobs that I got was actually at the Nakamura Bakery, which is located there.
Oh, wow.
And that was one of my first jobs, and I met the owner, and we became friends, and kept in touch after I left there, and I've worked all over Toronto in all kinds of restaurants, and
could you name a few for us, like just so the
for sure,
audience knows?
I
More about
worked,
your background.
I worked for Susur for a little bit after
yeah?
George Brown. That was quite the experience.
Yeah. And what did you start off in these positions? Like just right away as a chef? Or
right
like
at the bottom. Like
Okay.
I was working, just a salad station,
Yeah.
dishwasher, like bare bones, like just prepping.
Yeah.
And then kind of worked my way up through the ranks, and then much later, there was a spot that opened up in J-Town.
Okay.
And my friend, he approached me and he said, "Would you be interested in running in a restaurant there?" But obviously within the confines of like the Japanese community, and it has to have like some kind of Japanese elements to it.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
that's how it started.
And that's been how many years is that?
We opened in 2020.
Okay.
Like
Just right in the
smack
COVID.
dab in the middle of the pandemic.
Ballsy move, right?
Yeah.
And tell us about that. What is Tanuki? What is the featured items? Like what is the flair of the cuisines? Just for audiences that haven't been there before, what can they expect when they show up?
Sorry, I got some chips in my mouth. But so there's two things, I guess. The first would be, me. I was born and raised in Markham. I've been here my whole life. I love the cuisine here, and I love like the Asian food and the culture here. And that's what I've grown up eating, and I have a love for that, and also the Japanese side of it is yoshoku, which is yoshoku is a Japanese interpretation of Western dishes. Okay. So the history of that is actually during like the late 1800s and early 1900s. The Meiji Emperor actually lifted the ban on eating red meat in Japan. So previously, the Japanese were not eating red meat. I think this was due to like Buddhism or like Shinto traditions.
Okay.
But then during that time, the Dutch and the Americans started to trade with the Japanese, and so the emperor lifted the ban on the red meat, and that kind of created a little bit of a cultural boom, and they created these kind of yoshoku dishes. Examples of that would be like their curry rice, their omurice, kind of like beef and gravy, and those are the dishes that we try to showcase at the restaurant.
Like fusion dishes, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
But so take that and then also kind of modernize it for Markham.
Current taste buds and like the cultural flavors, right, are
Yeah.
popular right now, right? So what are some of the popular dishes that you guys serve there?
Definitely the omurice, which
Omurice?
is like a fried rice with a traditional like French omelet, which is kind of runny on the inside.
Oh, yes.
And then so you serve that at the table, and then the customers kind of cut it
Into
open
it.
and pour the
Spoils
gravy
up.
on top.
Oh, yeah. I've seen some of those clips. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that one's fun.
Yeah, just bursting out and all this like kind of like soft egg rolls over the ice and then sorry, the rice, and then there's a curry sauce that you pour on it as well, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
that one's good.
That's one of the best ones, yeah.
Our tonkatsu curry, which is
Tonkatsu,
a
yeah.
pork cutlet that we make in house. We buy whole pork loins and cut them and marinate them, bread them, and then so that becomes like a pork katsu. And then you got the rice and your gravy, your curry sauce that we make
Yeah.
in house.
All right. Everything made in house for you guys?
For the most part, I mean, certain stuff like we buy the noodles and stuff like that. That's you need like pretty big equipment to make
Yeah.
ramen noodles.
Okay. So during the so it's been close to 4 years now, right? Or you would say, or opening?
Yeah.
Yeah. How's the journey been since from like day one, getting everything set up to 4 years now? Like, what have you learned? What would you have done differently?
It's been quite the journey. Like this is my first time owning a business. It's my first time being in charge of an operation. I did work extensively in Toronto before opening a restaurant, but that was always under an executive chef.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a jump. And then also that, I mean, there's that side of it. And then also the business aspect of it, which is,
Yeah.
figuring out the accounting, figuring out, your
Payroll,
labor
supplies,
percentage,
yeah.
your food costs, all that. It was, and then throw in the pandemic on top of that.
Oh,
It was quite the challenge.
Yeah.
We started out pretty bare bones. Like it was me and another chef that I work with,
Yeah.
and my girlfriend at the time. And we honestly weren't expecting to get much traction. And so it was me working in the kitchen and my chef friend working in the front, and that was the only staff. And we got busy immediately, so we needed to hire.
Right
It was really hectic.
Yeah.
And then we started hiring, and then they went into lockdowns again, so we had to lay some people off. It was
Yeah.
some pretty challenging times for sure. But
And what do you guys think led to your success and surviving that troubling lockdowns? And how did you guys pivot, or what did you guys do? Like, how did you guys survive?
I think like we didn't go in with any concrete plan or anything, but I think we try to make food from scratch, and we show we're trying to make food obviously that caters to a more like modern Markham palate, and like I just make food that I think I would enjoy, or my friends would enjoy, or what I think people around here would enjoy, and I think it shows. I think people come back for it and they appreciate it.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique flavor you're creating there. So, do you guys change the menu often, or do you have like a few core items and experiment with different things, or how do you guys come up with your menu? Because I've been a few times, and I think I've noticed different things that you guys are.
Yeah, we're always changing. It can be seasonal, or it can be something. I try to have like a more interactive experience with my staff. So sometimes my staff will come to me and they'll be like, "Oh, I saw something cool on Instagram. Like, can we try that?" And I'll be like, "Let's try it, see if it works." See what sells. Sometimes we have a great idea and we put it on the menu and it doesn't sell, and I'm like, okay, gotta try something different.
Yeah, trial and error, right?
Sometimes, I think something is not gonna work out and people love it.
What would be one of those examples that we can kind of try and showcase? What would you think?
So one of the things I wanted to do recently was do like a seared duck breast on eggs Benedict.
Oh wow! Okay.
So I bought in some ducks and we sous vide them nice, so they're nice and medium rare. And slice them up, put them on the eggs Benny, and then it just so happened that we had a bunch of duck legs that are left over, and we're like, okay, what can we do with the duck legs? So I decided to do like a duck confit style. So you salt. You do a cure with a salt and sugar mixture, and then you leave that overnight, rinse it off, and then braise it in like a nice duck broth, and then we serve that on a ramen.
Oh wow.
And that became super popular.
Ramen, eh? Wow. So that's a staple of the menu now, or
Yeah.
yeah. And what does duck taste like in ramen? I've actually never tried like, I've had the pork and the chicken, but like duck, like how does that? What does it typically? Is it a traditional menu or something you kind of created, or like what?
No, yeah, that's not from anything. It was just
Yeah.
because we had the duck legs left over. So we roast all the duck bones and we make that into a ramen broth. So it's a little bit heartier than a chicken. I guess similar to maybe how a turkey stock would turn out.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then that's the base of the broth, and then the duck meat, which has been confit, goes on top.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay.
And yeah, it's nice hearty dish.
Yeah, I'll have to come back and try that too. And I do notice you guys also have like a dollar oysters on certain days or for promos, or
Yeah, that's just there because I love eating oysters. So we started that.
Yeah.
And yeah.
What type of oysters do you guys serve there? Or do you have a wide
It
selection, or
rotates. I
okay.
just so I my supplier is Diana's,
Okay.
so I
Diana's
just call
Seafood.
them and I say, what's fresh this week, and
Yeah,
they
yeah.
just send me what they got.
Oh, nice. Yeah, they're actually very. They supply a lot of the restaurants I hear.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's one of the Whole Food sellers there. What are the perks of owning a restaurant? You'd say, like, now that you've had that 4 years kind of successful build up. Like, what do you enjoy about the restaurant business?
There's a lot of perks. You have free food. I don't have to buy groceries.
Yeah.
I think working for yourself, getting to see, when I see problems in the restaurant, I can change it, and
You have control over it.
yeah, control. I get to see that my hard work is improving, and
And people
pushing
are
to make
enjoying.
things better.
Yeah, and people keep on coming back, and I guess the success, like if you weren't having customer base or you didn't build up your customer base, you wouldn't have a business, right? So
For sure.
it's a testament to the efforts that you guys have put in, and the success you've had is a true I guess compliment of your culinary skills.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's a job. I get to work with my hands. I get to be creative, and
Okay. And what are some of the plans that you guys working on? Like, what are you guys planning to do in the next few years, or what's your kind of ambition, just or goals, or right now with Tanuki?
I think I'm really focused right now on improving the quality of the dishes. I really like to analyze like each component and figure out which what's the weakest thing on the menu right now, and how can I improve that, or like what's not selling. Do I need to come up with a new recipe? Is the plating wrong? Is the portion size? Is it just out of fashion? Because I think in Markham, competition is very steep.
yeah.
There's a lot of amazing restaurants in Markham. You got to keep on your toes and really keep evolving.
Yeah. Where do you get your inspirations from, like for your menu or your ideas for different food pairings, or do you guys do wine pairings too, or sake pairings, or?
Yeah, we do sake. It's not like from what I've noticed, it's not a huge drinking crowd in that area. I guess a lot of people have to drive. It's not not a
It's
lot
not like
of
downtown where you just
walkable
walk. Yeah.
areas. We started doing beer on tap recently, so
Okay.
that's been going good.
Sapporo, or do you have
Asahi.
Asahi? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Sorry, inspirations.
Yeah, like what inspires you? Like how do you come up with new ideas for your menu, or
I could. I mean, I guess these days everything is digital, so a lot of it's just like YouTube videos, or cookbooks that I'm reading, or again, going back to what I was saying earlier, just sometimes I find sometimes taking apart the dishes and really looking at the components and figuring out like if I can make a certain thing, if this thing is not balanced, or if I can add a little bit of visual flair, or if I can add something that makes each dish a little bit more exciting.
unique and stand out? Yeah. Okay. And are you inspired by any particular chefs that have kind of mentored you or kind of guided you, or like you get true learnings from, or?
Definitely, yeah. From the places that I've worked before, I mean, Susur was a very inspiring figure.
Yeah.
He's a real character.
Okay. And is he still there, or where does he work, or what is
Yeah, yeah. He still has a couple restaurants in Toronto, I think. I know he's big on YouTube right now too.
Yeah.
He's doing the Iron Chef
Oh,
videos.
the Iron Chef. Yeah.
I worked at another restaurant called Union. It's a French bistro on Queen and Ossington. That was I had a really amazing experience there. They have a deal with local farmers, so the farmers would just bring in produce week by week, and then you literally you get a shipment of vegetables. You don't know what you're doing, and then it's your job to like
Figure
come
out.
up with a menu on the spot and see what you're gonna serve that day. And
Yeah.
it's that was a big like learning experience for me.
Yeah. It's like a mystery box that shows up, right? And you got to piece something together and
Yeah,
serve it, and hopefully people like
that was
it.
really challenging.
All right. That sounds like one of those Iron Chef challenges.
Oh,
actually.
for sure. It was
Yeah.
like that, like every day. Like,
Every
you show
day.
up.
Yeah.
You show up. The vegetables are there, and you got to figure out what you're gonna serve.
Speaking of that, so something like a mystery like that, like what's the most weird or like interesting food or item that you've kind of had a raw material and created a dish that everyone loved?
Like I love eating weird foods. Like I love beef tendon, tripe, all those organ
stomach and,
meats,
yeah.
weird seafoods, abalone. And like from my time traveling in Asia, like I would always go and try like the weirdest
Local
foods
street food.
possible. We actually did it was for a Halloween special at the restaurant. We did a snail pie.
Snail pie.
Yeah. It actually sold pretty good.
What is it?
It's actually
Explain
a
it to me,
traditional.
yeah,
It's
what
a
is it?
traditional French dish where you get snails braised in red wine and caramelized onions,
Okay.
and then that goes into a tart, and then you put Gruyere cheese, which is a very strong Swiss cheese, and then you bake that in the oven. And so when you bite into it, you get the caramelized onion, the red wine flavor, the snails, the cheese.
Yeah, the cheese.
It's pretty good.
How does that differ from the escargots? Like when they bake it, like
It's the same. Yeah, escargot is just a French word for snails.
it's kind of reminds me of like Rockefeller oysters. Like how you like the oysters diced up with like, or the
Yeah. I think the
Japanese style.
traditional way is on the plate in the shell with the garlic butter and stuff like
But
that.
you guys put it in a tart.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good.
That's pretty cool. You gonna bring it back or
Yeah.
for Halloween?
Probably bring it back. I like that one. That was a good one.
Yeah, that sounds pretty unique. Cause I just came back from Mexico and they were like serving us like locusts and like ants, and that was kind of an interesting.
Oh yeah, I haven't really delved too much into the insects. I know some people do it. But
Yeah, it's kind of country, but it's just kind of like eating popcorn or like chips or. They had some weird dipping sauces too, but it was an experience. When you're there, you gotta try it. I guess that's the beauty of traveling, right? So you could try the different types of cuisines.
Yeah.
And you said you traveled quite a bit in Asia in the past.
Yeah. I not so much now because
of the restaurant.
But yeah, I used to travel a lot in Asia back in the day. I've been to Hong Kong and Japan a couple of times. Haven't been to Korea yet. I would love to go.
Okay.
And then mainland China, of course.
Are you Asian descent, or what's your background like?
No. My dad's French and my mom's African American.
Oh wow. Okay. So.
But I mean, I grew up here. All my friends are Chinese, and it's kind of
big Asian.
definitely put an influence on my upbringing.
And speaking of that, I see a lot of crazy tats. Is there a story that tells us something, or is it just?
Yeah, it's not as exciting as it would sound.
Yeah, because
I
is it a
think it's
lobster
just-
there, or like what is that?
Oh, yeah, I got a big shrimp. in
yeah,
my
big
hand.
shrimp. Yeah.
Yeah, just like I think getting into the kitchen culture and being around those guys, it's kind of a rougher environment, and people can be a little crazy, and you see guys with tattoos all over on their faces, and So yeah, it kind of influenced me, and then I decided to get a bunch of tattoos.
Bunch of tats.
I had some of them done like in Asia when I was there. But
Okay. Any particular unique ones that you can showcase to us or talk about, or because it looks like an amazing story you got on.
yeah, actually, so my grandfather actually he's French, but
Okay.
he also was into Chinese culture, and he learned how to speak Mandarin, and
Wow. Okay.
he actually learned how to do calligraphy and stuff like that.
Oh wow.
And so
Okay.
yeah, he has in his house he has a bunch of like calligraphy paintings that he's done with the brush, like traditionally.
Yeah.
And so he created like a family crest.
Album. Okay.
So
Yeah.
my last name is Dugas, which in French means like from the swamp.
Oh.
Yeah, that's kind of silly, but so he created, or I guess he created a character, which is the soil and the tree,
Okay.
in like
Out of that
the Chinese character,
characters.
and I got that tattooed on me. I can show
Oh
you
yeah,
guys.
sure. The family crest. Oh wow, that's huge. It's like, wow. How long did that take to do?
I got that done in Hong Kong. That was 2008 during
2008. Okay.
I think it was during the Chinese Olympics.
Okay.
But yeah, that took like 2 hours.
2 hours. Amazing. And the rest of them are done in North America, or just kind of
Yeah,
places you
yeah,
travel
just
and
all
you kind of
over,
all
yeah.
over. Okay. Cool. It's obviously as our podcast focuses on some of the business aspects too. Now that you've kind of run this business for about 4 years, what are some of the learnings you've can pass on to some of our listeners? Some words of wisdom or something you can give them some advice on if they're looking to start a business as well.
I was actually really inspired by, like, I read Elon Musk's book recently,
Yeah.
and I think his mantra of like fail upwards, like how he does with SpaceX and stuff like that, like just
Yeah.
make mistakes,
Yeah. Keep on
mess
making
it up, and
mistakes.
then
Yeah.
iterate again. Just don't be afraid to fail.
Just keep trying. Just go for it. And where do you guys see yourselves in the next kind of few years? You've already pivoted, or not pivoted. You've kind of overcome the most challenging period, I would say, in the restaurant business during the lockdowns. And how did you guys survive that? Actually, firstly.
Yeah, so I mean, we were kind of blessed to be part of a shopping center there where, there's a lot of loyal customers to J-Town who come there to get their weekly, bread and stuff like that. And so we just came up with a bunch of products, like the chips and nuts. And we sell all kinds of stuff, like the katsus for the curry. We sell like frozen in vacuum sealed bags in like a little freezer section.
Oh, so you supply for the grocery store there?
Yeah. So like
okay.
a lot of the stuff
Nice.
that we make in the restaurant, we also sell packaged in the shopping center there.
Yeah.
Like our bolognese sauce and stuff like that.
Oh,
so yeah,
nice.
it's just coming up with stuff we could sell that.
Oh, so that's unique. So it's not just the restaurant itself. So you got sounds like you got a wholesale business too on the
Yeah,
on
it
the side,
definitely
right?
it helped during like the slower periods.
Yeah. Okay. And what about your vision now? So for the next 5 years, let's say, where do you want to be? What are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to what's in the books for you guys?
I think just to keep iterating, try to make the food a little bit better.
Okay.
I really like I love to analyze what's on the menu, try to like make it a little bit better. One of the things I'm working on currently, so we have our smoked salmon eggs Benedict, which is
Ooh, okay.
pretty popular on the brunch menu. And I've been trying to figure out a way to smoke the salmon in-house. So
Okay.
yeah.
So you gotta get room for a smoker and
Yeah. I think it would be really good.
Yeah.
Try to add a little bit more flair to the dish.
All right. Okay. So as we're starting to wrap up, we always ask our guests, like, what's the one type of food you would eat for the rest of your life? And you being in the food business, it must be a pretty interesting dish. Or what would you eat?
Oh, I mean, I love soups.
Soups,
I love
yeah.
pho. Pho is
Pho?
delicious. Yeah. Can't go wrong with pho.
Yeah.
Congee.
Congee?
Also
Okay.
classic.
Yeah. So more liquid based. Broth
I
based.
love a nice hearty soup. Italian wedding soup, also
Oh
delicious.
yeah. Have you guys experimented with doing any of that at the restaurant, or?
Yeah, we have a clam chowder. Is super popular.
Yeah. And is it unique? Like, do you put a flair, like a twist to it, or is it just a?
Yeah. So it's a mix between like a European soft clam chowder with we add miso to it to have like that umami.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
that's unique. I'll have to try that when I come next time. Okay, well, that pretty much wraps up our this week's episode. Where can our audience find you?
So I mean, I'm at the restaurant every day, 7 days a week.
7 days a
Come
week?
by
Yeah.
anytime.
You guys open for lunch and dinner, or just
lunch and dinner.
Okay. You have socials? Yeah.
No, I'm not on social
Not
media.
social?
But you can check out the restaurant social media at tanuki.restaurant.
Tanuki.restaurant, okay. And they're located in J-Town, just at Warden and Steeles here, very close by, and I would highly recommend them checking out. We've actually gone there quite a few times, and that's how we got to know John and his staff there, and always amazing experience. If you enjoyed today's episode, and you're looking to buy and sell, invest with us, you know where to find us, right? TimSold.com. Please give us a follow, leave us a like, give us a 5-star review on all the social platforms. I think we're on Spotify, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Remember, guys, dream it, believe it, achieve it. It's a beautiful day to sell homes. Thank you so much for listening. Hi, I'm Tim Kern, and I proudly lead the TimSold team. We're voted as one of the top 3 brokerages in Markham, and we will sell your house fast and for top dollar with the least amount of hassle, or we guarantee to buy it. Call us today and start packing.